right, so I'm going to continue with the types of parent functions. So our next function, you can see it looks like a U. It's actually the shape of what we call a parabola. You can tell that this is a quadratic function just by the way it's shaped. But also you can tell because the highest degree is 2. You're going to have that 2 on the exponent, just like we did with quadratic equations. The graph is a parabola. Okay, so again on the parent function, we're going to have our 0, 1, 2, and then negative 1, negative 2. So at 0, the y is a 0. At 1, the y is a 1. And at 2, the y is a 4. But instead of having negatives, they're going to go back up to the positives in the negatives. Because you can see there's no y that are in the negatives. Okay, y values in the negatives. All right, so again, your x and y intercepts are at the origin. All right, so end behavior. So remember, end behavior. So we're talking about what's happening here at the ends in relation to what x is doing. So we're talking about the y in relation to the x. So as x is headed towards negative infinity, f of x, or y, is headed toward positive infinity. As x is headed toward positive infinity, f of x, or y, is headed towards also positive infinity. I'm going to talk about maximum and minimum with the arrows. Oh, sorry. I forgot. It stops right here. So the minimum is 0, 0. The top goes up and up and up forever. So intervals increasing. So I'm looking for where it's increasing. In other words, I'm looking for where, and I'm going from left to right when I'm doing the increasing or decreasing. So from left to right, my values here, my y values are going up. So my interval is increasing from 0 to positive infinity. But here, from left to right, my y's are going down. So from negative infinity to 0, I'm having a decreasing interval. And then here are some more examples of functions in the family. Okay? So here we have a v. And just by looking at the v, you can tell it's an absolute value. Okay. So absolute value is about how far is the value from 0. Okay? So you'll see these straight lines. So when you take the absolute value of something, you're determining how far it is away from 0, regardless of sign. Okay? So, for example, absolute value of a number is always positive or 0. So the absolute value of negative 8 would be 8 because it's 8 away from 0. And the graph is a V-shaped. So again, we're going to do the 0, 1, 2, 0, negative 1, negative 2. Okay? So at 0, at x equals 0, the f of x or the y is also 0. Then you're going to have 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? We're not going to increase like you do with quadratic because we're not squaring the number. The reason why these are increasing like this is because we're squaring the number, which we don't do with absolute value. But again, your y's are here in the positives in your parent function. So again, your x and y intercepts are going to be at 0. Okay? So again, as x is approaching the negative, what is my end behavior? What is my y doing? Well, my y is approaching the positive infinity. And as my x is approaching positive infinity, my y is also approaching positive infinity. My end, okay, my f of x. So maximum and minimum. Well, again, maximum is an NA, but my minimum is 0, 0. So where are my intervals increasing and decreasing? So increasing. So we know from here to here, going from left to right, my y values are increasing. So my interval is increasing from 0 to positive infinity. And again here, from left to right, negative infinity to 0. Right? And you can tell these are absolute functions when you see those absolute function symbols, which are those straight lines. Okay. And our last one is going to be exponential. Exponential. F of x equals b of x. So here you know it's exponential when your variable is the exponent. When your variable is the exponent, okay? And y will never be equal to 0, ever. It will come very close, but it will never reach it. So right here as it's curving, it's never, ever, ever, ever going to reach that axis. All right. So the x-intercept, it's never, ever, ever going to cross that x-axis. So it does not have an x-intercept, and your y-intercept happens at 0, 1. Okay. Okay, your asymptote is y equals 0, okay? Graph gets close to this line, but never touches or crosses the line. Let's look at our end behavior. So as x heads towards negative infinity, what is this end doing? Well, it's actually approaching, but never reaches 0. You just have to remember that. It's a little different. It's a little special. Just have to remember that. Then, as x is approaching positive infinity, f of x is also approaching positive infinity. So again, we're not going to have a maximum and minimum. But let's look at interval increasing. Well, the whole interval from left to right is increasing. It's never decreasing. So it's going to go from negative infinity to infinity, and it's never decreasing. And here are some examples. Like I said, you're going to see your variable, your x. I shouldn't say variable. I should say x value. X value as the exponent. Your input is going to be your exponent. All right. So like every single lesson, if you have any questions, please come and see me.